Well, hello everyone. It's like to talk to you about it's like TV memories. As you see right here, is I went ahead and drew like what you call is like a you see maybe kind of like an example of a ring, but it's a wrestling match right here. But you see right here is I went ahead and added in the detail right here. It's like some stuff as a wrestling match. But then of course that right here is that I remember that I used to watch TV. I think if it was I don't think it was with my uncle, but it was with my dad. It was with my parents, and just knowing about that a couple of times that I think that it was on. It came on on I think on the local stations. It was that they would have like what you call different stations where they would have like what you call wrestling, and of course maybe a few programs where they would show tennis. You see tennis sports. It is like you got right there that tennis tournaments. It is and maybe every once in a while it was golf. But you see right here is I went ahead and added in the detail, and most of us probably think about it as like with TV memories, huh? But I can I have a lot more memories, more likely that would be coming later on about what I can remember so far as TV memories that what I can remember watching on TV other than what you say is like other TV shows. It's like maybe as I say by Bell or if it was say maybe the Chickmunks or any other shows, art shows I used to watch. It's like they would have like what you call is like ABC. It's like, and then of course they would have the WB and then a few other shows, but most of my shows, of course, favorite shows were like the paint shows. It was, but other than that, like the cartoon, I think the Mighty Ducks. I remember the Mighty Ducks a couple of times. Came on TV those couple of times, and then of course like Thunder in Paradise, and then of course a few other cartoon shows that came on that more likely I can't remember all them the names of them, but maybe I can describe a little bit like the Ninja Turtles, all that. But anyway, but talking about with was like what you call it's like with the wrestling. It is that you see right here is that the way I drew it right here, and just knowing about that I remember I used to watch wrestling whenever I was young. It is I guess every once in a while I still do, but then for whatever reason whenever I would watch it, of course that I would give it it's like a name. It's like the hiding place. I remember that I called it the hiding place. And anybody who maybe ask, it's like why why do you call it the hiding place? And then more likely, really, is it the rule to really describe, to explain why you give it that specific meaning? It is for why you give it that specific name. That specific name, I guess you say that a lot of times people probably think about that that you got a professional, you got a NFL, you got like a certain wrestler that you're gonna go ahead and start calling or whatever, but give them a nickname, whatever you call it. But other than that is like knowing about with my reason to why I called it the hiding place, of course, was the fact about I can remember I mentioned my parents about that, like a place where you can hide. I'm like, well, not exactly. Is the fact about that anything that you see on TV, it seemed like that hey, that that anything that you see on TV more likely is not real. That talking about it's like that you see on TV that somebody hitting somebody over the head with the chair or with the table or whatever you call it, maybe a piece of a wood 2x4, or it could have been what you say a broken chair shelf or anything like that broken piece of some type of furniture was that I see somebody hitting each other over the back, and then of course over the head with something, and then knowing about when to pin them down and stuff. But on the other hand too, one of the reasons of course why I called it of course the hiding place was the fact about you got right here is the ring, and then they say the wrestling ring it is, and then I used to think that if a guy did get kicked out of the ring, it's like if he were to actually get thrown out of the ring, and then there would be like what you call a pull of acid or something like that. It's like I guess that's what they call it, but it's like water that has like kind of sewage. It looks greenish looking. Like the not so likable water. I guess that they have it to where you do like a stunt to where that they would land in the water, and then if they would land in the water, and then they would be out. You say of the wrestling ring. It is wrestling match. But other than that, knowing about, I used to think that that whenever the team the wrestlers would come up on the ring, and then of course it would the ring with the wrestling ring would raise up in the air about 15, 20 feet at the most, something like that, and then they would have it to where they would be fighting it is. And of course, go ahead and add some details right here. It's like, for these characters. But knowing about, you got the wrestling, teams right here, and knowing about what's like what the hiding place it is. Yeah, I remember I asked my parents, like, hey, do you know where the hiding place is? Like, and yeah, but then someday we may think about going to the hiding place, and I'm like, well, I'm not going because I don't want to get beat up either. I used to think that yeah, I get involved with one of those wrestling matches, and knowing about that, yeah, you don't want to get involved with what they do on TV. It is. But anyway, but most of us could probably remember Mr. Stretchy it was, but I remember that Mr. Stretchy is knowing about that. I remember that he was pretty expensive, but knowing I got right here is the measuring tape right here, is knowing about with Mr. Stretchy, if you pull his arms and of course pull his legs, and then he would stretch at about 11, 12 inches or more, or something like that, outwards. And I remember that it's like my mom got me one of those toys. It's like my parents went and arranged it where they can get me one of those toys, and I can remember that took it home and had a ball with it. It's like have fun with it, and just knowing about that yeah, you can pull his arms. So had a stretchable arms. You could pull his arms outwards, and they would stretch. And I remember that siblings and I, it's like we used to play around with it. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that the stretchable arms, after about, I would say 215 times of pulling his arms, and that's whenever that his his arms, it's like that's whenever his arms look kind of like this right here, to where you got right here is his wrist, and then of course it's like he kind of look like that, to where it was torn a little bit, kind of look like that. And you can see right here is like with the arm, and then there will be like what you call like this glue stuff. I think on the inside of the arm it was that there was like a type of gel, a type of glue gel, I guess, that they fill the toys up with. And a lot of ways you probably thinking about that yeah. And I remember my parents said that they would fix it for me, and of course that. And knowing about how they would be going to be able to do it, and then eventually wind up getting thrown away. But on the other hand too, to knowing about that, yeah, that I remember I think they said it was like $50 for the toy. It was $50 for the toy, and I remember that I think they went up to Toys R Us to get it for me. But I remember that knowing about with most of our toys that they're only made the last maybe a few times after you play with them, and then they start wearing off and then start giving out, and then you wind up throwing them away or whatever. But I tell you one thing, that one toy I still have, of course, I guess you can call it, is like what you call is the TV. It's like the TV I've had ever since I was at least 10 years old, something like that. But other than that, is knowing about was like what the TV memories you got right here is Mr. Stretchy it is. And with Mr. Stretchy, you're probably thinking about that yeah, that with the doll, he was about $50, about $50, up there at the toy stores at Toys R Us, and people probably thinking about that. Yeah, Toys R Us is a pretty good place that you see, to buy toys and stuff. But they probably say that the prices are pretty expensive. It's like depending if you catch a sale or not. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that with Toys R Us, you probably think about that they probably stock about at least maybe 2,200 or so toys all together. And just knowing about that, I used to think that you go out and buy toys, and then it's like, yeah, it's like with the price it is. The price is, it's like knowing about it's like those big trucks and stuff like that, big trucks and licking log sets or whatever you call it, that a lot of times you're probably thinking about is like, really, it's like if it's the price, or if it's what you call is like a peace of mind to to know about. Yeah, exactly. Going to a toy store, and then the next thing you know, I'm like, yeah, that you get some ideas for what you want to get later on, and to know about, if anybody would probably think about if they would be going out and doing window shopping or whatever, is to know that yeah, you got plenty of ideas for maybe what you want whenever, if your birthday comes around the corner, or maybe something to say as a present for yourself or whatever, that more likely get yourself some ideas for what you want to get. But on your hand too, that knowing about is like, so far speaking for the hiding place, is to know that, yeah, that what is a good example, I guess, for the hiding place is so far as knowing about is like you spend time together, and then knowing about that yeah, that really, if it's really about the fact about, if you got what you call is like what you call a ring right here, it's like, yeah, you got the ring right there. And then just knowing about that yeah, like, and where do I have to hide, huh? Well, pick a hand or whatever. Well, it's not in that hand. I'll go ahead and show you this hand right here. It's like you got the calculator right here. It's knowing about how much is it. Oh well, pick one. Pick one. Oh, pick one. Pick one. Other than that, knowing about it's like, yeah, that you got right here. Well, you picked this, so it's like pow. But anyway, other than that, it's like not really using your fist, but on the other hand too, to knowing about that, with some people probably thinking about that. Yeah, with Mr. Stretchy it is, and now it's like with the hiding place it is, and just knowing about that. Yeah, it's like for 5. It's like for 5 and 5. It's like 5 and 5 and 5 and 5, and what does that equal? Well, 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 10 10 10 10 10 10. Well, about 122 73, something like that. It's like it's the price. But on the other hand, to knowing about that may seem like a lot of money. Of course, it did back then. Of course, whenever I wanted toys like that. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about what TV memories is just to know about that. Yeah, that whenever you do get something like that, is just knowing about the things from what you can remember. Seems like it almost all the time, that the things that you can remember last longer than the toys. But on your hand too, that knowing about it's like, say, for good experiences, talking about it's like for the TV memories.